One of the things I want to do is introduce myself for anybody that's new. My name is Mavis Lamb, and I am the Intuitive Story Wrangler. What that means is I'm kind of like a ghostwriter, but I do a little bit more. So first, let me explain what a ghostwriter is, and that is somebody that helps people write their books, whether it is taking something and being a very detail-oriented editor, a coach a little bit. Sometimes ghostwriters will just take all of your information, your thoughts, they'll interview you, and then they just write it. Sometimes people just kind of come alongside and you can do some of the writing on your own. And you just need a little help, a little encouragement if you hit a wall. And what I do is kind of a combination. I started as a ghostwriter, but what I realized was there was a lot of people who were like, I want to write my book, but I'm not doing it. So something was clearly getting in the way with that. So I was like, well, what is it that's getting in the way? And I realized that I often knew what those struggles were. I am an intuitive, and so I'm pretty good at picking up what's going on with people in different ways. And so I help them kind of figure out, why are you not telling your story? What's getting in your way? How can we help you do that? So that's where I became the Intuitive Story Wrangler. So I do a little bit more than just ghostwriting, even though I still offer those services. Another way that I help people is my package that is called Saddle Pals, and that's where I come alongside somebody. They're doing a lot of the writing themselves, but I coach them. I make sure they have their outlines, and we're kind of keeping on track. I give feedback, and we have regular check-ins, just somebody to be with them along the way. And that's kind of what the story drive is all about. So a lot of people want that kind of help, but maybe it's not in their budget, their cash flow, whatever might be going on with them. So I want to make sure that people can tell their story. I'm very passionate about doing whatever I can to help people tell their story. So with the story drive, what I do is help multiple people at one time, kind of like a seminar. It takes place over 6 months, so you get 6 months of support with regular meetings. I'm going to keep it pretty small so that people can get a lot of personalized attention and support. So it's not going to be just this huge, massive group where you just listen to me and then you're off on your own. We'll be kind of a little flexible with our time. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. And then the other thing I do is I still offer some feedback, some editing, and also some intuitive time. So whether it's in the beginning as you're getting started, or you're stuck halfway in the middle and you're like, I don't know why I'm getting stuck now, or it's kind of towards the end of the 6 month time and you're like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what's next. And I can help you with that, and we can have that conversation. It includes about an hour of my time, but we can break it up. We can break it up into 30-minute sections so that you can kind of have a opening and a closing type time. Who this is for is really those people. Because it's a group event, it's going to cost a whole lot less. I'll get into the cost a little bit later, but because I'm going to help multiple people, my time kind of multiplies, and so people can actually have an affordable way to get their book done. I will tell you that what this is not is an upsell. I don't like it when people say, well, I'm going to give you this little tidbit of information, and if you really want help and if you really want to make it happen, you have to buy this other program. That's not my goal. My goal is that at the end of this 6 month window, that you have your manuscript, or you are so close that you can then move on to getting it published. And we can talk about those kind of things, about what might work best for you in getting things published and that sort of thing. So that's what this is. That's why it's 6 months, and with regular content and some individual and some group time and that kind of thing. Certainly if somebody wants more help or wants a different level of help or whatever, I mean, I'm available, but this is not an upsell. This is a complete package. So that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure that it's for those people that really want to have something at the end of this and have their ideas, whether they've started or not, and just needs a little encouragement and some structure and answering some of those questions along the way that kind of get in the way when we try to figure out what we're doing. It it does include, besides there's a variety of things. It includes like a twice a month check-in. Some of them may be Q&A, some may be work sessions, some may be overview of information and things about writing books in the publishing world and AI and all those things that come up when people are writing their book. It's going to include all of that, plus the regular email support, and of course that intuitive time that will be scheduled per your schedule. And I see someone else has joined us, so I'd love for you to pop your name in and let me know who's there. The other cool thing that it includes is the Saddle Up Your Story workbook. This is a great tool that is laid out so that you can brainstorm, you can ask questions about your book, your process. It helps set goals and got all kinds of great information in it. And this I lay out in a year timeline, and I'll explain that in just a minute. That if you use this workbook on its own, it might take you a year, it might not, to get your book done. This is a more condensed because we're holding each other a little bit more accountable. So that's kind of what that includes. Like I said, I have just been passionate about helping people tell their stories. And I'm going to give you a little secret about one of the reasons people aren't telling their stories. And it is because we have what I call false messages. What that means is we've got some little voice in our head that gets in our way. And you have probably dealt with this with something you want to do and you want to get out there, but you keep stopping or you never start. And there's a variety of reasons, but the biggest false message we tell ourselves with something like this is that we don't have time. You might still be working, you might be having kids at home that you're taking care of, you might be taking care of parents, you might have your own health issues. Who knows what's going on? You might be planning a move across the country. I've got a friend that's moving from California to Texas. So she said, once I get moved, and that's a legitimate reason. Sometimes we don't have time, but sometimes we convince ourselves that we don't have time because we're not taking the time for ourselves. We're putting everybody else first, and our projects, our passion, our ideas get backburnered. Now, like I said, there are certain times where absolutely you've got to do something else. You got to pick up the kids from school. You got to go visit your parents. You've got to go to work. You've got to do whatever you've got to do. But you can make it happen. And so that's one of the big things is I just don't have time. I think that's probably the biggest one that we tell ourselves. And sometimes it's because we're looking at the whole project and we assume that if I am sitting down to write my book, I've got to have all this time and I got to put in 6 hours a day and I got to work, 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 work. And you don't. You don't even have to put in an hour a day to get this done. I have what I call 10 minutes in the saddle. So 10 minutes a day. And if you, on average, we write, anywhere between 250 to 500 words an hour, give or take. So if you do 10 minutes a day in a year's time, 365 days, so, you're going to have 30,000 words. And that is enough to be a book. And your book may not even be that long. That's okay too. So you see, you can just do a little at a time. I've got a little bit of time here. And so I'm just going to get in there and do something with it. And a lot of people get nervous about their ability to write. Like, oh, I don't have the time is one thing, but I don't have the talent. What if I'm not any good? Listen, you're better than you know. And I will also say that books that are authentic and sound like you and your voice are going to ring truer than some editor coming in and trying to make this book all polished if it doesn't fit your voice. I had a client that I was a full-on ghostwriter for. And so I had content and I had recordings of his and we did interviews. And I worked to put his book together. And my passion as a ghostwriter is to make sure it's your voice, not mine. So I will always say, hey, is this how you would say that? Are we tracking? And so what happened, we got the book out, he had it available for sale, and he started getting some reviews. And one of the best reviews for me that he got was, I can tell this person, insert name, wrote this book themselves because it sounds just like they talk. And that was a huge, huge plus for me because that's what I want. So just so you know, for people that I do ghostwriting for, I always am very, very careful about that kind of thing. But I say that also to remind you that your voice is what matters. The way you speak, yeah, of course, we're going to, you check your grammar and your spelling and all those kind of crazy things, but it's got to sound like it's your voice. So I always say you have more talent than you realize. If you have a story, you probably have a way to tell it. When does it start? Well, originally I was going to start this in February because it's Library Lovers Month, and that just seemed like a great time after the holidays and things, and people were ready to kind of move on and start their projects for the year. But I did not know there was a big storm coming. I call it the storm stall. Everybody I know has kind of been stuck because even if they're not dealing with snow or ice or power outages or whatever else might be going on, they're impacted by it because it's affecting travel, maybe getting home. It's affecting jobs. It's affecting all kinds of things. And people aren't thinking right now about, hey, let's get signed up for this story drive. I don't have the internet. So I decided to push it to March, and I'm still looking at the exact start date, and I'll explain that in a minute. But March is holds, I should say, Tell Your Story Day, and that seemed like also a really great month to get started. We'll start it in March. We'll start the story drive because I think it's the 15th, if I have that right. I'm looking at the wrong calendar. It is the 15th or the 16th. Tell Your Story Day. So it'll be kind of in the middle of the month. We may start earlier than that so people can kind of ramp up and get going. And because it's a small group, I'm going to be able to be a little bit flexible with when the regular meetings happen and at what time, because I know I'm going to have people in different time zones. My original thought was a Saturday, that it might be like 8 or 9 o'clock on the West Coast and then 11 or 12 on the East Coast, somewhere in there. So it'd be a Saturday morning, mid-morning, that kind of thing. But because it's going to be a small group, we can adjust that so that it works for everybody that wants to participate. So I would say don't let that stop you. If, oh, I can't do a Saturday morning. Well, just let me know and we can probably figure that out. We can kind of go from there. The other thing, whether you sign up with me and do a story drive or not, that I want you to be really, really cognizant of is AI. It's out there, it's rampant. We have to learn how to work with it, but do not let AI write your story. It will have problems being copyrighted because AI doesn't actually create. It does what I call scrape the internet and goes out and finds other things. And you don't know if the research you're doing is factual or not. There have been times where it's been out and out lies, false information. There have been times where people have done research and quoted somebody's newspaper article. There's a lot of court cases right now with journalists and people suing whatever company and whatever's going on because that AI program, could be Gemini, it could be Chat GPT, it could be whatever, has actually just taken that information and acted like you can use this for free, and you can't. And that's also true with photographs and images that you find online. If you're going to try to publish them and copyright them and sell them, you're going to have a problem if you've used AI. That doesn't mean there's not a place for AI. There absolutely is. It is a great tool to do some certain things with, and kind of give you new words. I love it as a thesaurus, but you do want to be careful. So there you go. I want to thank you for your time. I'm going to end this now, and I appreciate you guys. And please, no matter what, saddle up your story with me, with someone else, on your own. Let's make it happen. All right. Thanks, everyone.